So, hello everyone. Today we are gonna look and analyze the event that how US is back in Venezuela and why oil won't save you. Let's drop the euphemism, and it's not about democracy, it's not about human rights. This is not about helping Venezuelans, it's about oil, leverage and power. The oldest trick in geopolitics and the pattern that we have seen across history. The United States has effectively re entered Venezuela because it sits on the largest proven oil reserve on earth, bigger than Saudi Arabia in a fractured world controls bit ideology every time. So, from EV dreams to crude reality, just a few years ago, Washington couldn't stop talking about EVs, green transitions, and the death of fossil fuels. That fantasy died the moment inflation hit wallet and geopolitics turns hostile. EVs don't win wars, lithium doesn't stabilize regimes, oil still does. The US government has quietly pivoted from energy transition to energy dominance. Venezuela is not a climate decision, it's a strategic insurance policy against supply shocks, OPEC games, and Chinese influence. Green rhetoric makes headlines, black gold moves history. Now, think about it. There are fundamental questions. Who's gonna win? The billionaires versus average Americans. Let's be brutally honest about it. The winners are oil majors, refiners, defense contractors, and political insiders with capital exposure. And the losers are the US taxpayers, the average consumers, future generation, footing the debt. Whenever Washington intervenes abroad, profits gets privatized and cost gets socialized. This is not something which is a critique, it's the operating model. If you understand business, you are able to look after how the taxes is at the end shifted towards the end consumers. Stock prices react instantly, gas prices slowly, if ever, taxes and inflation relentlessly. The global economic shockwave, the oil is the bloodstream of the global economy. Any disruption or takeover in Venezuela sent ripples through emerging markets, currency stability, inflation expectations, and trade balances. China and Russia see this not as a regional issue but as a precedent. If oil asset can be militarized, no resource rich nation is truly sovereign. Markets hate uncertainty. I already talked about this before in my earlier video. Markets hates uncertainty more than bad news. This move injected uncertainty. That's why you see volatility, hedging behavior, and quite repositioning. It's not panic, but preparation. Will oil become cheap? Here is the hard truth. That's the biggest question. The short answer is no. Not meaningfully, not sustainably. Yes, Venezuelans oil may add supply on paper, but reality is uglier. Venezuelan crude is heavy, dirty, and expensive to refine, and infrastructure is decayed. After decades of mismanagement, production ramp up takes years, not months. Capital cost will be enormous. Even if oil prices dip temporarily, the production cost remains structurally high. Cheap headlines don't equal cheap energy. We need to understand that. Cheap oil is also not equal to cheap life. Here is where people get fooled. Even if oil prices soften, food won't suddenly get cheap, rent won't fall, healthcare won't deflate, consumer goods won't magically or marginally drop in price. Why? Because today's inflation isn't just energy driven, it's driven by labor costs, supply chain re-engineering, and debt and geopolitical risk premiums. Oil is a factor, not a silver bullet. What US consumers should actually do: forget slogans, focus on survival economics. 1. Don't bet your finances on cheap oil narratives. Volatility is new normal. 2. Reduce personal energy exposure. Efficiency matters more than price predictions. 3. Expect inflation to cool unevenly, not collapse. 4. Watch policy signals, not press conferences. Government talk green and act crude. So be little cognizant in all those kind of policies and geopolitical events. 5. Understand this truth that foreign interventions rarely improve domestic cost of living. So the US didn't invade Venezuela for common people, it did it for leverage, stability of power, and control of the energy chessboard. Oil may wobble, market may adjust, but the structural cost, political, economic, moral, linger. If you want clarity, stop listening to promises, watch incentives. That's the truth. Here is the truth. And that always hides, and mainstream media don't cover it. So so that's something which you need to think about from economic perspective, and how it gonna have an impact on you as a citizen. What you need to know about all these events, and how this cost, the production cost, if the production cost is high, who is gonna pay the price? The billionaires or the companies will pay the price, or at the very end it will be shifted towards the end consumers. So if you understand economics, you understand the fundamentals of the economics, you know very well that how any sort of tariff across like countries or geopolitical tensions, at the end of the day it burns your pocket. So at the end of the day, the common people or the end consumers are gonna pay the price, not the companies. So try to understand that, and manage your finances and make bets in such a way that you are cognizant about all these global events, and you can shield yourself with the options and options available to hedge. So that's something which is a brief, like people are now talking about lot in the political sense, but what I do feel that there is a economic impact related to it. If you feel that you have learned something new, or any point that you need to think about, or I missed any context or point, then feel free to write it down in the comment section, and I'm happy to debate, and we can always discuss like what's coming in front of us. So so that's something which I want to share it with you, the economic perspective of it, and few I mean, few foundational level questions like who's gonna pay the price, and how it will impact the common US citizen. So all these are open ended questions. If this give you is this give you clarity, not comfort, then you already know what to do. Subscribe, because the world isn't getting simpler, it's getting louder. The most of what you are fed is nothing but the noise of which people are usually talking about, the mainstream media, about the political situations and all these kind of political impacts. It's not about political impacts and geopolitical impacts. We are not going to jump into that. We understand that there are political impacts and geopolitical impacts, and that's fine. I am not denying that. But the point is, we as a common people, we need to understand the economic perspective of it, and how it gonna drain my pocket. Is there something to gain for me as a common people, or there is something to lose? Or if there is no benefit, then what's the point of putting this point or highlighting this point into mainstream media, that common people will get benefit, the gas price will be cheaper, without justifying or ascribing the correct process